Good morning. It is 12:09 p.m. So I guess technically not morning on Friday, May 28th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellison. Yes, I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, uh, generally speaking, Critical Role is on way too late for me to watch it live. I will sometimes watch the first hour or so of it before going to bed, just because it starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and so, yeah. But this week, because it is sort of a big climactic fight, and because didn't have to work today, um, I figured, you know what? Hey, let's stay up and watch it live. I still didn't quite make it. um, yeah. So my body's very confused right now because here's basically what happened: is that I stayed up until about 2 in the morning, which was almost to the end. Like the fight was done at that point, and I'd watched a little bit of the post break stuff. In case just for anyone who's watched it since. Um, and then I went to bed, but I knew that I was going to have to get back up because I had someone coming that I had to hand over like a package to. An ex neighbor had a package delivered to our building, and they needed it, and so they had their friend coming over who was going to text me at 7:30 to just hand it over. And so all of that happened, but it just meant that, I certainly hadn't had enough sleep at that point. And then after all of that, I decided to watch the rest of it while I was still kind of half awake early in the morning. And then I went back to bed and just slept until I was ready to get up. And so now you know the rest of the story, Paul Harvey. But yeah, it was sort of these big fights are very long and slow moving. But when in a situation like this where you care so much about all the characters, the stakes are so high. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm not going to spoil any of it. But the other thing that's in the news, so to speak, is that it's Balticon Weekend. Now, I really miss going to Balticon. It's something that I've done every year for years, with the exception of last year. But that's for obvious reasons. And so even this year, it's still a virtual convention, which I really haven't done anything with. Even like last year, I just didn't participate. And so this year, all the panels are by Zoom, which is going to be kind of a new experience for me. I'm sure it'll be fine and enjoyable and all, but I tell you, the part of conventions that I love the most is really just hanging out with the friends that I don't get to see in person very often, and so virtual is just not the same. Maybe still worth doing, and so I'm certainly still doing it, but I am very eager for, I'm hopeful for next year that we'll be back to being in person. I'm looking forward to that. But let's talk a little bit about my schedule, because if you go to balticon.org, you can watch some of these panels. And there's lots of other panels, of course, even besides the ones that I'm on. But if you check those out, my understanding is that if you just want to watch the panels, it is free, but there is a suggested donation, which of course, if you can afford it, you should do. But let's talk about my panels. So today I have two panels. One is at 5:30 p.m. and it is called The Lonely Gamer, and it is about the idea of solo tabletop role-playing games. And I've played a handful of those, and so I'm interested very much so to talk about um, that and how other games could be adapted for solo play, and to also hear what other folks say about that. So that one is at 5:30 and it'll be about an hour. Then I have another one at 10 p.m. tonight, which is how to create compelling audio, and I am the moderator of that. And so I have some experience in that, although to be honest, I haven't done a lot of high production value audio in a while. But we'll be talking about the challenges, both technical and conceptual, of creating compelling audio, because of course there's technical issues, but there's also just like, you know, even if you could wave a magic wand and have whatever you want, like how do you decide what you want and all of that sort of thing. So that'll be fun to talk about. Then tomorrow, my first panel is at 10 a.m. and it's called Character Development Before the Curtain Goes Up. And so that talks a little bit about like, creating character backstories for games, how much you should come up with, what should be left out, um, and all of that sort of thing. And then at 1 p.m. tomorrow, Love the Setting, Hate the System. And this is when, adapting given settings to different systems. Um, and it's interesting. I'll be interested to see what other folks say about that subject, just because I certainly think it can be very valuable to think about how to adapt rule sets to different settings and everything. But I just like for example, it seems weird to me, the idea that, like, oh, well, I just love the Forgotten Realms where D&D takes place, but I want to play a Forgotten Realms game, but not with D&D, with a different game. But I mean, you could certainly do that. But I don't know. We'll see. I think talking about rule sets versus settings is very interesting, though. So we'll see how that goes. And then at 4 p.m. on Saturday, I have good first-time RPGs that aren't D&D, and talking about some other games besides D&D, because I love D&D, but there are lots of other games that are also fun. So we'll be talking about that at Saturday at 4 p.m. Then I have 2 more panels on Sunday. At 4 p.m. on Sunday, handling in-game conflict. And that's a tricky one, right? I've dealt with some of that myself, but I'm also interested to hear what other people have to say about that. And then the last panel of the weekend on Sunday at 8:30 p.m., dynamic voice acting. That I'm on with a few friends, and that panel is always a hoot, because we talk about various like voice acting exercises and everything, but we kind of end up, we play a lot of games and stuff like that, read things in different character voices and stuff. But at least that's what we've done in the past. We'll see what happens this time. But if any of those seem interesting to you, you should head on over to Balticon.org, make a donation if you are able, and check out me on some of those panels, or see what other panels might be interesting to you. And I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.